Imposter syndrome, once again, is thrust upon us, but preparation can outlast anything society has driven in your mind. If you are prepared, you are ready for this. You don't have imposter syndrome. You don't have these thoughts of, I'm not enough. That is all something we put in our mind. It's really hard to get over if you don't recognize that you have it. But once you do, girl, you in there. Welcome to More Than the Hype, the podcast where we go beyond the surface, beyond the trends, and straight into real, unfiltered conversations about business. I'm your host, Kristin Taylor. Grab a glass of wine from KT Winery, or water because moisture is important, and let's get into it, because success is more than just the hype. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my first solo. I feel like every time I start a project in life, it's a push that I wasn't necessarily expecting, whether it means a guest got on the wrong train, or I gave them the wrong address, or I just had extra time and could do this thing where a mic happened to be in front of me. So I'm really glad I got this push for my first solo. And I kind of wanted to take the time to expand upon something that popped off on Instagram and TikTok. I've never had so many DMs or calls or comments about a topic outside of, the general excitement of KT Winery or Mom Juice. And that was about imposter syndrome. So several weeks ago, I posted a video talking about imposter syndrome after listening to Fawn Weaver from Uncle Nearest and Morgan Debon from Blavity Afrotech and so many other things talk through imposter syndrome. And Morgan had asked Fawn, and I'm totally paraphrasing here, but for the gist, Morgan had asked Fawn, how do you get over imposter syndrome? Or what do you say when people ask you about it? And her comment was, I don't have that, right? And Martha Stewart actually had just said something very recently as well in her biopic, which was, that's not something I have. And it created this whole conversation around how imposter syndrome is something that's been thrust upon us as women, especially people of color. And it's not something that is innate or part of our soul or being. We may be nervous about things. We may have questions or concerns or wondering if we have the skill set. But feeling like an imposter, that is something that is super patriarchally put into our world. It's something that holds women back so deeply, and it's ingrained in culture so much that women have now given other women imposter syndrome because we just assume we all have it. And I will be honest, I didn't think I had imposter syndrome until maybe I was in 21, 22. I've always been in spaces where I was the youngest. I was the youngest person on the board of the Mint Museum. I was the youngest person to be an event planner. I was the youngest person to do this or to do that. I've always run in a pack full of diverse ages and people. So I've always been the youngest or the brownest or the blackest or the whateverest. And it's not until women started asking me how I cope with it that I felt like I had something to cope with. I think it's very similar to the dichotomy of, this is going to be deep and maybe a little tangent, but I think it's important. We talk about racism. We talk about how little kids aren't born to think about race. It's something we teach them. We think about how we talk to women about their abilities, their life, what they should be doing. Nurture is so strong. And nature is there to show us what we are capable of and continuously push us and give us that itch in the back of our mind, I think I can do more. I think I can do more. But nurture of society will continuously tell you that you are not enough. And I think we as women have been so pushed down and so thought of as less that we started to believe it. So to expand on my point from the TikTok video, I don't have imposter syndrome, and I bet you don't either. So let's talk about that 360 view. Let's back up. Let's say, okay, maybe I don't. What do I do about how I feel now? Because it's in the body, it's in the spirit. It's something you're carrying with you into the boardroom, into the classroom, into wherever you're at. It is a part of how you feel now, and that's just the reality. Part of moving through life is accepting the things you can't change and figuring out what you can. And imposter syndrome to me comes from how you present yourself, but how you prepped. So let's talk about prep. Before I walk into a room, especially like a big boardroom, before a big investor meeting, before a big pitch like Target, I know this is so cheesy, and I don't know if anyone else ever watched Grey's Anatomy, and that's where I got this from. And before I knew it was actually a scientific study, but I do the Superman pose, like the really cheesy one, for a solid 2 minutes. And I sing like a song that makes me happy. I will be real. Before an investor meeting, it's Bitch Better Have My Money by Rihanna. I just find it very empowering. And I hope that it's like a manifestation of what's going to happen. So I will stand there in the Superman pose, usually not in the room before I, like, not in the hallway or whatever, but like in the bathroom or in a stall and silently sing, Bitch Better Have My Money. And here's the thing. One, it gives me comedic relief before I do something. So that helps immensely. Two, it sets the tone. Like, that's what I'm here to do. I wouldn't be in the room if I wasn't qualified to be in the room. No one would have invited me here if I shouldn't have been here. This opportunity wouldn't have presented itself if I should not be in the space. So, number one. Number two, it gives me something tangible to think about when I'm losing my nerve. Three, it is a study. It's shown to work, and it has really worked for me. So that's number 1 through 3. 2, I really, as you can tell, believe in a color coordinated outfit that is super simple and easy. I'm not trying to be the flashiest girl in the room, but I am trying to look bomb. And whether that be an all black ensemble, whether that be a lavender suit or a lilac suit, you know, as a founder, you don't always have a bunch of money to throw around, but you can get these simple basics at places like Target or H&M or wherever you may shop that create a look that you know you look good in. It's important to have a power 1 or 2 outfits. And that power outfit, once again, does not need to be designer, but it does need to be something that makes you feel comfortable, you can move in, and you look a little snatched. 3, I am never caught off guard. I may not always know the answer, but I know how to respond to that, which is my answer of, you know what, let me look into that. I want to make sure I give you a factual thought there. Or, you know what, let me get back to you on that. I want to make sure I'm giving you the most updated answer. Saying you don't know is good. Saying one of those phrases is much better. It sounds like you're prepared. I want to make sure that you're being really truthful and honest and transparent. But other than that, I know what I'm doing when I walk into the room. I don't talk about things I don't understand because that is the quickest way to trip yourself up. So do your research. Be prepared. Look up who's coming before. Go to their LinkedIn. Find something you can relate to them about. Whether they played for Yale and you love Bulldogs, that works too. Like, find your little intro so you have something to stick to the people that will stick in their mind about you. If you saw that they have kids and you have kids, that's a relatable conversation. Find the things that you know will stick in your brain. Know what you're talking about the general conversation. Do your Superman pose. Breathe through. Because imposter syndrome, once again, is thrust upon us, but preparation can outlast anything society has driven in your mind. If you are prepared, you are ready for this. You don't have imposter syndrome. You don't have these thoughts of, I'm not enough. That is all something we put in our mind. It's really hard to get over if you don't recognize that you have it. But once you do, girl, you in there. So that's just my quick thought about imposter syndrome. I really believe that the reason women have been kicking ass, right, in the last 10 years, 15 years in business is people like Fawn Weaver telling their story, sharing how they get there, sharing how they prepare. It's women finally being transparent and getting the space and the stage to be transparent, let's be honest. Like Monique Rodriguez from Mael, right? She's showing the behind the scenes of this experience and how she's handling what's going on in her company well. And you have Melissa Butler talking about what Lip Bar is, how she's expanding it, how she's growing capital. we're finally in the space where we're having these conversations that men have had forever. And don't let them fool you that this is not a conversation that they've had before about feeling inferior. But the reality is you are not. You just have not been in this space. You have not been given the tools. And that is where women are changing the game right now. They're giving you the toolbox. They're giving you the tool chest. That is what this podcast is about. It's about talking to entrepreneurs. It's about talking to women. It's about talking to people of color. It's about talking to dynamic change makers and figuring out what was the difference. What did they have in their arsenal that we didn't? And let's make sure that we're providing that access and those conversations to people. So with all that said, thank you for tuning in. Remember, you don't have imposter syndrome. Maybe they do, but you don't got it. See you next time. That's a wrap for today's episode of More Than the Hype. If you love this conversation, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It helps way more than you know. Until next time, stay bold, stay real, and keep chasing the hype.